Catherine, did you hear about the pop quiz tomorrow?
What pop quiz tomorrow?
You know, that pop quiz on cell biology?
Oh my God, how did you find out about this?
Magic?
What are we going to do to study?
Well, I found this really good video online that'll help us study.
Welcome to the plant cell. First of all, where do you find plant cells? Do you find it in plants, like a tree? Okay.
Let's start with the nucleus, the most important organelle in the cell. The nucleus is important because it contains the cell's DNA, which controls all the functions of the cell. The nucleus is enclosed by a double membrane called the nuclear envelope. The nuclear envelope is perforated with pores, which allow passage of RNA and proteins. Within the nuclear envelope, a nucleus may have one or more nucleoli. A nucleolus is a non-membranous organelle involved in the production of ribosomes. The core of the nucleus is made of chromatin, a material consisting of DNA and proteins. The inside of the nuclear envelope is lined by the nuclear lamina, a net-like array of protein filaments that maintains the nuclear envelope's shape by mechanically supporting it.
So the nucleus, as my friend already explained, is pretty much the brain of the cell. Each cell has one nucleus, and this nucleus contains the DNA and the RNA, and it is the reason for cell reproduction. Let's take this, for example. This basketball will not reproduce any of its cells. First of all, it's dead, and second of all, it doesn't have many nuclei. However, these plants will continue growing.
The outer layer of the cell is called the cell wall. This maintains the cell shape and protects the cell from mechanical damage. The cell wall is made of cellulose, other polysaccharides, and protein. In the cell wall, there are channels called plasmodesmata. These connect the cytoplasms of adjacent cells. Within the cell wall is the plasma membrane. One of the main differences between plant and animal cells is that while plant cells have a cell wall, animal cells have only a plasma membrane. While all cell walls are made mainly of cellulose, the exact chemical composition of the cell wall varies from species to species and even from cell type to cell type in the same plant.
The plant cell wall is made out of mostly cellulose, which makes it very sturdy. This is why these two trees can support my weight while I'm on this hammock.
Next, we have the cytoskeleton. The cytoskeleton reinforces the cell's shape, and its components are made of protein. Its components include microfilaments, intermediate filaments, and microtubules.
The cytoskeleton is more important in animal cells than plant cells due to the fact that animal cells lack a cell wall, but they are still vital to plant cells. Microtubules are the thickest type of the cytoskeleton components and consist of alpha-tubulin and beta-tubulin. They are made to resist compression forces. Because of the way microtubules are built, there are two different ends, a plus end that can grow and shrink very fast, and another end that cannot change quite as quickly. Microtubules are also a key in the movement of cilia and flagella, but those are not found in most plant cells. Another important use of these is transportation. They are like train tracks for vesicles to move across. The smallest type of cytoskeleton is the microfilament, which are also called actin filaments because they are formed of the globular protein actin. Unlike microtubules, microfilaments are made to combat tension forces. These are what give the outer layer of the cytoplasm a gel-like consistency. In animal cells, these make up microvilli, and in other singular cell organisms, microfilaments help cells move. In plant cells, microfilaments are active in cytoplasmic streaming, which helps the cells transport materials. The last and middle type of cytoskeleton are the intermediate filaments. They are more permanent than either of the other types of cytoskeleton and help support organelles, like the nucleus, within the cytoplasm.
The cytoskeleton, much like the human skeleton, supports the structure of the cell. However, unlike the human skeleton, it can be quickly dismantled in one part of the cell and then reassembled in another location.
The cytoskeleton are the fibers that hold the plant cells together.
Next, we have the endoplasmic reticulum, a network of membranous sacs and tubes that runs throughout the cell. The endoplasmic reticulum is active in membrane synthesis, as well as other synthetic and metabolic processes. The endoplasmic reticulum has rough, or ribosome-studded, and smooth, or not ribosome-studded, sections. Ribosomes are complexes that make proteins. They can be free in cytosol or bound to rough ER or the nuclear envelope. The endoplasmic reticulum accounts for more than half of the total membrane in a eukaryotic cell.
So the endoplasmic reticulum in a plant cell is kind of like the pathways or the tunnels.
Next, we have the Golgi apparatus. This organelle is active in synthesis, modification, sorting, and secretion of the cell's products.
When things go through the Golgi apparatus, they are often changed. For example, various enzymes modify the carbohydrate proteins of glycoproteins. In addition to changing the products that go through it, it also creates some of its own, including pectins and other non-cellulose carbohydrates included in the cell walls.
The Golgi apparatus has a receiving side and a shipping side, called the cis and trans sides, respectively.
The Golgi apparatus is kind of like the mailing system. Like green leaves, they go over that way, and brown leaves, they go over that way.
The next organelle is mitochondrion. This is the organelle where cellular respiration occurs and most ATP is generated. Mitochondria are not part of the endomembrane system and even have small amounts of DNA in them. Time-lapse films of living cells show mitochondria moving around, changing shape, fusing, and even dividing in two.
This is very similar to a mitochondrion because this generates air conditioning as mitochondria generates ATPs, or the energy that all plant and animal cells use.
The next organelle to go into our cell is the peroxisome. This is an organelle with various specialized metabolic functions. As a byproduct of these functions, it produces hydrogen peroxide, which it then converts into water. Some metabolic processes performed by peroxisomes are breaking down fatty acids so they can be used by mitochondria, detoxifying alcohol and other harmful compounds, and converting fatty acids to sugar in plant seeds.
In a plant cell, a peroxisome, it breaks down all the fatty acids to make sugars.
Next, we have the central vacuole, a prominent organelle in older plant cells. Its functions include storage, breakdown of waste products, and hydrolysis of macromolecules. Enlargement of the vacuole is a major mechanism of plant growth. Central vacuoles cause plant cells to grow by absorbing water, enabling the cell to grow larger with a minimal production of new cytoplasm. In fact, the cytosol in plant cells often occupies only a thin layer between the central vacuole and the plasma membrane.
The central vacuole is a major component in cell growth. It also breaks down waste and performs hydrolysis of macromolecules.
Last, but definitely not least, we have the chloroplasts. These photosynthetic organelles are unique to plant cells. They convert the energy of sunlight to chemical energy and then store it in sugar molecules through a process called photosynthesis. Chloroplasts have 3 membranes, 2 outer membranes, and 1 membranous system in the form of flattened, interconnected sacs called thyloids. In some regions, the thyloids are stacked like poker chips in stacks called grana.
This is the stuff that makes plants green. This is the stuff that makes plants green.
Jack, isn't that you in the voiceover? Jack? Jack, where'd you go?
Animation was done by Catherine Mattias. Video acting was by Peter Fan. Narrations and filming was done by me, Jack Riley. Technical assistance was provided by Stephen Mattias, and all the facts in this presentation came from Campbell AP Biology 8th edition. Thank you for watching.